Motivating students with technology, extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. Previously in this chapter, we contrasted the behavioral or extrinsic approach to motivation with various cognitive or intrinsic approaches. Our goal was not to demonstrate that one approach is inherently superior to the other, but to point out how and when both approaches can profitably be used to support classroom learning. A particular or a parallel situation exists with regard to the motivating effects of technology. Behavioral psychologists, for example, argue that students who work on computer-based drill and practice programs are motivated by the immediate feedback they receive and the steady progress they make. Cognitive psychologists argue that involving students in fantasy environments or authentic tasks that are directed to audiences besides the teacher is intrinsically motivating because such programs and tasks give students a sense of confidence, personal responsibility, and control over their own learning. Despite the differences in these two approaches to motivation, they are not mutually exclusive. Some of the most innovative and effective technological aids to learning combine both approaches. Consider, for example, the Quest Atlantis project we mentioned in Chapter 10 on constructivist learning theory. Using technology to increase motivation to learn. Computer-based technology can accommodate both extrinsic and intrinsic approaches to motivation, but does it, in fact, increase students' motivation to learn? Critics of computer-based learning argue that any observed increases in student motivation are likely to be short-term and due largely to the novelty when students engage new programs, games, or virtual environments. But several studies have demonstrated that the use of computer-based instruction increases students' intrinsic motivation and performance. First graders in urban schools who were at risk of failing to learn basic literacy skills engaged in computer-assisted literacy instruction. Not only did the technology engage the students in ways that enhanced their listening, reading, and writing skills, but it did so in ways that made the students less anxious about difficulties they encountered and more likely to persist when difficulties were encountered. Eighth graders who were judged to be candidates to drop out of school because of academic and social problems received 2 weeks of instruction on the Bill of Rights. Those who were given a chance to create and present a computer-based multimedia project on the subject scored better on tests of both subject matter and attitudes toward learning than peers who engaged in traditional classroom projects. High school seniors working in cooperative learning groups called PowerPoint presentations. They created PowerPoint presentations about poets of the Romantic period. Compared with previous classes, this group showed a much higher level of motivation for learning about this subject matter. High school students in Israel, where engineering education is part of the high school curriculum, have used technology, including creating their own computer programs to design and build using Lego blocks, robots, cars, cranes, and even a system that would allow a boat, to cross a waterfall in both directions. According to the researchers, the laboratory became a second home to the pupils. They came to work on their projects during breaks and free hours and even after school. Computer-based or augmented programs are often used to improve students' literacy skills and motivation for reading and writing. For example, a technology-enhanced summer program designed to help low-achieving inner-city middle school children improve their reading and writing skills produced noticeable improvements in motivation. Students used data gathering tools, data management tools, and presentation tools to complete inquiry projects and present the results to an audience of parents, peers, and siblings. As the students shared their efforts with one another and noticed the impact of such features as computer graphics, web pages, PowerPoint slideshows, and videotaped interviews, they quickly and eagerly revised their own projects to incorporate one or more of these features. A survey of elementary grade teachers who published students' writing projects on a classroom website revealed a similar motivating effect. Students were more inclined to complete their projects and to do high-quality work when they knew it would be seen by a wider audience. According to one fourth grade teacher, before the internet, my children did not write as much, as writing without a purpose was not fulfilling. We have a purpose now, and that makes the work more interesting for the children. They are really proud to see their work on the internet. I believe the students are being more careful with their language arts skills. Their errors are pretty easy to see, and they do not seem to have any problem with changing them. In paper and pencil writing, it is very difficult to get them to change what they are writing. Email and other messaging systems are often used to heighten students' interest and motivation. Pen pal projects can link students in different locales or countries. Rebecca Sipe described a project in which her excuse me, her pre-service teacher education undergraduates corresponded with 10th grade English students who helped the pre-service students formulate realistic classroom beliefs and practices. Carol Duff described how female high school students use email to get career advice, academic guidance, and personal support from a professional woman mentor. Diane Friedlander described how, at the onset of the Iraq War, a teacher arranged for middle school students in Oakland, California, to become pen pals with students in Iraq. The Oakland students studied the reasons given for the war, listened to and spoke with guest speakers on a weekly basis, and wrote, directed, and acted in a play about the impact of war on families. Students even marched down Market Street in San Francisco, holding up pictures of their pen pals. Connecting students to real people and real events provides extrinsic motivation to learn. At the same time, it stimulates students' intrinsic motivation. Challenging assumptions, teaching, learning, motivation. Antonio says, Connie, you said that the comment you heard in the teacher's lounge, that something was taught but not learned, really stayed with you. Why is that, do you think? I'm not exactly sure, but it seems to me that for a teacher to say, I taught, but the students didn't learn it, is like a salesperson saying, I sold that, but the customer didn't buy it. You know, more than 70 years ago, John Dewey said something very much like that, Connie says. So if teaching should be examined, its quality understood, in light of the learning it facilitates. What does that mean for motivation? It means we have to facilitate its development in students, says Antonio. He gazes out the window for a moment. We can't learn for our students. They have to construct their own understandings, their own knowledge representations, but we can facilitate their construction. In terms of motivation, we can also be facilitators. We can provide opportunities for students to explore their interests and to discover new ones. In the same way, we should facilitate their development of knowledge and skills in a content area such as math or English. We should facilitate their development of self-knowledge and the skills to use their own interests to help them achieve learning goals. If we can help students experience success as learners, they'll develop a sense of self-efficacy and a strong academic self-concept. He is silent for another moment. Teaching is about facilitating student learning. I want to be a teacher who helps students learn that they can succeed as learners.